About me, he said,
Mr. Confidence returns to save fighting again. Call your grandma. Nanny, we did it. Watch and pay me. Fuck you, pay me. You fat Irish prick. You don't have my money. I put your brain to sleep. Who's that? What's that about? Who's he talking about? C is in the casinos after. The Mac loves yous all. I got love for yous. It's an it's an honor. It's light work. It's easy. For life and eternity, it's McGregor. How drunk was he when he wrote that? I do this fight game easy peasy. The sound of my shots off the head go bing in green dot laser form. Okay. Well, I really hope he is actually back. I mean, he's the most dynamic personality the sport's ever known.
and he was, for a time there, just such an unbelievable fighter. I mean, he was like it was incredible what he was doing.
The Andy Alvarez fight.
Oh yeah, I was there.
Example.
I was there. Well, thanks to you. With really good seats, thanks to you. But that was one of the best. That might be the best fight I've ever been to live, because that whole card was just stacked, and that as the main event was just unbelievable.
Bro, he was in the Matrix.
Yes,
in the Matrix. He was just in the zone. You know, Dana said it best. He's like, that kid eats pressure. He goes, he eats it.
Yeah,
like he thrives on pressure. Pressure that makes other people wilt.
Yes.
He like shines under that pressure.
And he had an amazing ability, even very early in his career, which was like kind of, it was really unique. Like, because even like on his first fight ever, if you watch his first fight in the UFC against like Brimage, I think the guy's name is, and he was a relatively unknown at the time. But dude, the place is going nuts. He already had made so much kind of like street cred for himself. And then the Irish thing, like the Irish were really, really into it. But he, from the very first fight, he would always create these moments where it's like, dude, this is going to be the biggest spectacle that you, my opponent, has ever been in their career. Like, I'm going to get you mad with shit talking. I'm going to get the fans so excited because he's completely comfortable there.
Right.
Like, I'm not sure if you're really comfortable here, but and so it would, and even with Aldo, who had been the entire division. He literally, when they started the division, they started him as champion. He didn't even win it. He came in because they absolved the WEC. Champion. So he was the entire featherweight division, had just dominated everyone, and he even created such a moment that like Aldo was like
he was the boogeyman.
Yeah, dude, he was incredible. He's one of the greatest
featherweights of all time.
But he got him to the point where he was like so furious that he was like, I'm gonna take this fucking guy's head off, and then Conor's just like relaxed. He's like he didn't care about any of the shit talking. He was just like, yeah, we're having fun. Let's play.
He lost his composure. Yeah, and he looked very overwhelmed by the moment. And by the way, everyone from Ireland came to Vegas for that fight. It was the nuttiest thing I've ever seen in my fucking life. The entire Mandalay Bay was overcome with
expected hacks because I'm coming in fast. I tell you this, how are you doing after your 5-round fight with Oliveira? I thought some of the shots went to the back of the head. You had an opportunity to repay the favor you didn't take. I was disappointed in the result and the outcome of the bout and the shape the bout took. But how's the body? How are you feeling?
What it is, bro.
How's Hawaii?
I'm good.
I look forward to seeing you again in Las
great.
Vegas.
Hawaii's great, brother. Hawaii's great. I can't wait to see you in the Ninth Island, brother. I was Dublin. I heard you sleeping in the gym, so that's great to hear, man. We're glad to have you back. I can't wait to get in there and mix it up, bro. We're gonna make some records.
Max, your fight with Conor was an early loss in your career, and I know you've been very vocal about wanting to get that victory back.
Oh, for sure. It's super fun, you know what I mean? But in Conor's words, you know, I don't even think that's a loss. He said he only count finishes. The last time I checked, that was a decision. So we're on over into his fight, and
I like this. I like this. Go, ring the bell.
I like it.
my strong rockets. These are missile, yeah. These are fucking missiles.
Conor McGregor is back in the spotlight once again. After the injuries and setbacks, Conor McGregor is back in the spotlight once again. After the injuries and setbacks he has dealt with in recent years, a lot of questions have been raised about what his future really looks like and whether he can climb back to the same level. Still, McGregor now appears to be back in strong form, with talk building around a possible matchup with Max Holloway in the upcoming fights. With every training session, every interview, and every prediction, the buzz around McGregor's next move keeps getting louder. The big question now is whether he can rise to the occasion again, or whether the pressure of facing Holloway might prove to be a major challenge.
Obviously, he's coming up against Max Holloway in a great fight. How do you see that matchup between those two?
Personally, I think because it's at welterweight, I see Conor knocking him out. Like, everyone's counting Conor out and thinks that Max is going to win. If it goes to the later rounds, yeah, Max definitely probably start piecing him up on the feet because he's got that cardio and the volume. But the fact that it's at welterweight, I think, favours Conor because Charles made Max look small at lightweight. So imagine how big Conor's going to look compared to him at welterweight.
There's only one reason that Conor McGregor hasn't fought in the last at least 2 years, right? Since the Michael Chandler pullout or, rescheduling that bout. It's because the UFC, they see the value of Conor McGregor and they don't want to waste it. But at the same time, it makes for a very difficult conversation and a very difficult scheduling for Conor McGregor. They know that they want to put him on a massive card. They want to make sure that they get the most value out of Conor because they're going to pay him a shit ton of money. So they need to get value out of him. And they want to make sure that they can either try to renegotiate with him to keep him under contract, or maybe they don't work as hard to put Conor in a fight if he's not being as receptive to renegotiations or receptive to, whatever the number is they want to give him for a fight. There's always some kind of negotiation issue. There's always some kind, because Conor is, as he said, Abriel, they said I was toast, but I'm still the bread, mate. It's true. He is the cash cow moneymaker, even still today, 11 years later after winning his first title. That says something. And it's why he hasn't been able to fight, because they want to be very selective and they're going to iron out every little contingency in his contracts before they get him a fight. It's ridiculous, but it's the way the UFC works. And Zuffa Boxing, you better get ready.
I felt like they could have done announcement with Conor and Holloway at the White House. I feel like that would have went really well for them. I think that would have been cool. I was also thinking about this on the drive-in. One of the reasons, many of reasons, they didn't put Conor on the White House card. Number one is the ticket sales, right? You can tell he's a big draw. Number two is, can you imagine the backlash that the left, CNN would have ran with if Conor, with his accusations in Dublin, going through, the grape stuff and all that?
That's interesting.
I bet you that had a hand in it, where they're like, hey, this is the White House. We're already getting a ton of shit for it. Do we really want Conor's comeback fight after going through all those legal issues in Dublin being at the forefront of this? And the ticket sales, they're like, it's just a lose-lose. I bet you that had something to do with it. They didn't want that negative attention stealing the storylines.
Off on Gaethje.
That's the fight. If Conor McGregor beats Max Holloway beat Justin Gaethje. So the UFC can legitimately make Justin Gaethje versus Conor McGregor immediately. And you put Conor McGregor in a fucking title fight. If he has a really good performance against Max Holloway, which feels very unlikely, but let's say it happens, what a fucking fight. Because Justin Gaethje's stock has gone through the roof after the White House. I mean, he's a bona fide legend now. That would be a fucking amazing fight. And that point was pretty much the end of the interview, actually. So yeah, McGregor, is he changing? I think he is, but I think it's going to be a constant battle, and one that he might get knocked down in a few times more before he eventually comes to the point that you kind of hope he would come to. But at least we're seeing some resemblance of a humbleness about him, and just speaking like a man who's actually learned a thing or two over the years, which I think for a long time it was amazing how he wasn't.
For Michael Bisping, the main point was how much this fight could mean for McGregor's legacy. Bisping admitted that he does not know whether McGregor has stayed fully sharp with the sport or whether this matchup could end up defining the next chapter of his career. The concern, as he put it, is that if McGregor comes up short, critics would suddenly have a lot more room to question everything he has built. At the same time, Bisping also looked back at the reasons McGregor became such a massive star in the first place. He pointed to moments like McGregor's dominant win over Eddie Alvarez to become the UFC's first double champion, along with his explosive knockout of Jose Aldo, two highlights that helped turn him into one of the sport's biggest names.
But the sport has evolved, and I don't know if Conor McGregor necessarily has. Now, this is a big fight for him, for the sport, for his legacy, right? Because a lot of people are going to talk shit. If he loses this fight, fair weather fans, new people are going to be like, oh yeah, he doesn't seem like he was that good. The McGregor back in the day was that good. That's plain and simple. The way that he took out Eddie Alvarez, that was just beautiful. The Jose Aldo thing, that was one punch that was perfectly timed, incredible. But when he became double champ against Eddie Alvarez, that was a masterclass performance, okay? And then on the microphone saying, I'm going to apologize to absolutely nobody, standing there with the two belts on, the first person to ever do it. It was incredible. I'm not glazing the guy. No one can deny that. And that's why he became the biggest star on the planet. And that's why he got opportunities to go and face someone like Floyd Mayweather and make the ridiculous amount of money that he...
However, according to Bisping, McGregor's mindset appears to have shifted when it comes to this fight as well. Bisping suggested that McGregor now seems more relaxed, while also fully understanding just how important this matchup really is. In his view, McGregor knows he cannot afford to be nearly as careless as some viewers felt he may have been in earlier fights, especially at this stage of his career, where another setback could carry far more weight. Bisping implied that public pressure would likely grow louder if McGregor came up short in this one, and that it could also affect how people talk about his place among the all-time greats. That is exactly why the conversation around this matchup keeps pulling so much attention. Online, people are not just debating whether McGregor can win, they are also weighing what a strong return would mean for the image he has spent years building. A lot of the discussion circles back to the same point. If he looks sharp, the narrative changes fast, but if he struggles, critics will have even more room to question where he stands. And that is where Bisping's comments keep landing with people. The way he framed it, this is not just another fight on the schedule. It is the kind of moment that can shape how fans and commentators talk about McGregor going forward. That is why every small detail, from his tone to his training talk, gets picked apart so closely, because the public reaction around him tends to move in real time.
He lives a quiet life on the island of Hawaii, okay, on Hilo or whatever whichever island it is. I'm not too sure off the top of my head. Max blessed Holloway. Where's he come from? Honolulu? I don't know off the top of my head. Let me know in the comment section, please. But still, what do you think about McGregor, this new version of himself? He does seem to have calmed down a little bit. He does seem to be taking this one very, very seriously. And he has to. Because if he doesn't get the job done here, at 38 years old, and I think he'll be turning 39 3 days after the fight, if he loses, people will be saying it's time for him.
This is not the only perspective that has kept the debate going. While Bisping emphasized how much the matchup could shape McGregor's legacy, Paddy Pimblett is already predicting a strong return, at least in his view. The rising UFC name suggested that moving up to the welterweight division could work in McGregor's favor, since it might give him a clear size and strength advantage against Max Holloway. Because of that, Pimblett thinks McGregor could score an early finish before the fight reaches the later rounds. Still, he also acknowledged that if Holloway can weather that opening danger, his constant pressure and non-stop offense could shift the momentum in his direction.
Obviously, he's coming up against Max Holloway in a great fight. How do you see that matchup between those two?
Personally, I think because it's at welterweight, I see Conor knocking him out. Like, everyone's counting Conor out and thinks that Max is going to win. If it goes to the later rounds, yeah, Max definitely probably start piecing him up on the feet because he's got that cardio and the volume. But the fact that it's at welterweight, I think, favours Conor because Charles made Max look small at lightweight. So imagine how big Conor's going to look compared to him at welterweight.
However, the conversation around McGregor's return is not limited to the octagon. Brendan Schaub also offered his read on why the UFC may have kept McGregor out of the alleged White House appearance, based on online discussion around the situation. Even though Brendan said that a McGregor versus Holloway fight announcement at an event like that would create massive attention, he believes the organization may have wanted to avoid any extra complications for itself. In his view, the legal issues McGregor has been dealing with for some time, along with the constant media spotlight, could have shifted the attention away from the event itself and toward the surrounding controversy instead. And that is why this whole conversation keeps stretching beyond just one matchup. Once McGregor becomes the center of this kind of talk, every update gets treated like a signal, and every reaction from fans or commentators starts shaping the larger story around him. Some people see that as proof that the interest is still there in a huge way, while others think it shows how high the stakes have become for a return at this level. That also helps explain why the debate keeps moving in different directions at once. On one side, there is the belief that McGregor still has the kind of presence that can change the mood around a fight instantly. On the other side, there is the pressure that comes with that kind of attention, because any hesitation, any mixed performance, or any public doubt can quickly turn into a bigger talking point. So even before anything is finalized, the online reaction is already doing a lot of the work, building anticipation while also raising the scrutiny at the same time.
I felt like they could have done an announcement with Conor and Holloway at the White House. I feel like that would have went really well for them. I think that would have been cool. I was also thinking about this on the drive-in. One of the reasons, many of reasons, they didn't put Conor on the White House card. Number one is the ticket sales, right? You can tell he's a big draw. Number two is, can you imagine the backlash that the left, CNN would have ran with if Conor, with his accusations in Dublin, going through, the grape stuff and all that?
That's interesting.
I bet you that had a hand in it, where they're like, hey, this is the White House. We're already getting a ton of shit for it. Do we really want Conor's comeback fight after going through all those legal issues in Dublin being at the forefront of this? And the ticket sales, they're like, it's just a lose-lose. I bet you that had something to do with it. They didn't want that negative attention stealing the storylines.
Another angle on the conversation came from YouTube commentator Brian Davis, who raised questions about why Conor McGregor's career seemed to slow down after such a massive start. He was essentially asking who should be held responsible for that decline, the UFC or McGregor himself, while also saying it is difficult to make sense of why McGregor stayed inactive for so long while still under contract. From Davis's perspective, McGregor's rapid rise remains one of the most impressive stories the sport has ever seen. But he also suggested that the years that followed did not live up to that early momentum, with much of that stretch looking like wasted potential. Davis did not stop there either. Beyond the Holloway matchup, he also weighed in on what could come next if McGregor manages to pull off an upset. In Davis's view, a strong showing against Holloway would put Justin Gaethje right in the mix for the next fight, and if McGregor can back that up with another quality performance, a title opportunity could be waiting not long after. Although Davis said the idea still seems highly unlikely, he also made it clear that this would be one of the biggest fights the UFC could possibly put together. Davis went on to say that, in his view, McGregor seems to be maturing, coming across as a little more humble and reflective than he used to be. When talking about the impact of bigger-than-life stars in combat sports, Logan Paul pointed to Conor McGregor as the gold standard. He argued that very few athletes have changed MMA's popularity the way McGregor has, describing him as a rare kind of figure whose influence reaches far beyond the octagon. Looking back on meeting McGregor in Washington, D.C., Logan said that his charisma feels just as strong in person as it does on screen. At the same time, he also acknowledged the uncertainty around McGregor's return, noting that after so much time away from competition, stepping in with elite opponents who have stayed active would be a major challenge. And as the conversation about McGregor's comeback keeps building, another fighter who understands that world better than most has also added his own perspective. That is why every fresh comment around McGregor keeps getting picked apart online. People are not just reacting to the possibility of one fight, they are reading into what it might mean for his whole comeback, his standing with the UFC, and the kind of attention he still pulls whenever his name comes up. Even a small update can turn into a bigger debate almost instantly. And when a fighter has that kind of history, the conversation naturally splits in two. Some viewers focus on the star power and believe he still has enough left to make things interesting. Others point to the long break, the outside noise, and the uncertainty around how he will look against top-level competition after so much time away. That mix of hope and doubt is exactly what keeps the discussion moving. So the storyline keeps expanding beyond the fight itself. It is now about momentum, perception, and whether McGregor can turn all this attention into something real once the cage door closes. That is the part people keep watching, because in a case like this, the reaction around the comeback can become almost as important as the comeback itself. For months, A lot of fans assumed Michael Chandler would be the one welcoming McGregor back to the octagon, only for that spot to seemingly move over to Max Holloway instead. Even so, Chandler has not sounded frustrated about being passed over.
The former Bellator champion said he holds nothing but respect for Holloway, calling him one of the most admired names in the sport.
From Chandler's perspective, if anyone was going to step into that role, Holloway was the right pick. And while plenty of people still frame McGregor's return through the lens of money, not everyone agrees that finances are the real story here. Wade Plemons argued that although McGregor is expected to land one of the biggest paydays in MMA history in a fight with Max Holloway, the paycheck is probably not what is driving him now. Plemons said McGregor has already made massive money outside the octagon, so, in his view, there is nothing left for him to prove on that front. Instead, he sees this comeback as something more personal, tied to a real urge to compete again and test himself against one of the sport's toughest opponents. In Plemons' view, that kind of motivation is exactly what makes McGregor's return feel worth paying attention to. Plemons also said McGregor's long stretch away may not have been caused only by injuries or personal setbacks. In his view, the UFC may have been waiting for the right moment, since McGregor is still one of the promotion's biggest commercial draws. With such a major payday tied to every appearance, the idea is that the company would want to place his return on the biggest stage possible. Plemons also suggested that contract talks and financial discussions probably added more complications behind the scenes. And as McGregor has said more than once, he still sees himself as the UFC's top draw, which makes every part of this comeback feel a lot bigger than an ordinary fight. Now it's over to you. Does Conor McGregor have what it takes to beat Max Holloway again, or will Blessed finally get his revenge? Comment your prediction, and if you want more MMA updates, like this video, subscribe,